Good evening. This is BelGeode, and we are back with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator. And tonight, I'm going to show you another IndiaFoxtEcho aircraft. His latest one, the Leonardo M-346 Master. Now, this aircraft is, let's say, relatively new, as in within the last 20 or so years. It originally started as Aeromaki in concert with, of all people, Yakovlev, the Russian company, the Yak. So the two of them had a partnership and eventually had a falling out because I guess the Russians weren't paying their end of the financial obligation, shall we say. There was a lot of stuff going on in the late 90s and early 2000s that basically turned this into an Italian-only project. So it had its first flight on July 15, 2004, I believe, and it's been in production since then as the Leonardo, once Aeromaki and another company, I think it's Aline or something like that. It'll pop up below, combined together, and now they're producing it. So it's used as a trainer and also light attack. And right now, only a few countries use it. I want to say Israel is one, Indonesia is another, Italy, of course, and I believe Turkey. But there are a few other countries that have some ordered, and it is definitely being made. So there we go. So this particular version is by IndiaFoxtEcho, as I said, and I love showing off IndiaFoxtEcho's aircraft because Dino puts a lot of love into his bird. So with that being said, be prepared for a long video because the checklist alone might take us a while. But let's take a look at the stats and everything. So we'll pop that open there. And you can see it is fairly speedy. I mean, if you compare it with like an F-35, yeah, it's definitely slower a little bit. So 395 knots, true airspeed, max altitude of 45,000 feet, an endurance of 3 hours, and a range of about 1380 nautical miles. We won't need to worry about range today because of where we are going, but I'll talk about that in a second. Liveries. What liveries do we have? Not many. Well, I guess you could say we kind of do have many. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We are using the primer only color. I have no idea why. I just like the yellow primer color. Some of you might think it's pretty ugly and not exactly the best choice, but I like this one. So we're going to use it. Okay. As far as weight and balance, I'm basically just filling the tanks. I really doubt we're going to run out of gas. We're not going too far. I will, however, leave the external tanks off, and I'm not going to get into the stuff with the stations, where you could put like smoke winders and so on and so forth. Just be advised, because this is a military bird, if you buy it in the marketplace, it will not have weapons. If you want any kinds of weapons, and I believe the only things that are available are things like smoke winders, or, basically the fake Sidewinder missiles. Those will come if you purchase through places like Orbx and so on and so forth. But you're not going to find it in the Microsoft marketplace, so just be advised. And of course, our usual customization. We're going to go a little different today. So we still have our November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo, but we're going under the call sign of Master 70. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's head back to Mother Earth, and we're going to zoom in and see where we are going to fly. And incidentally, I know you all have been watching these videos for a while, and this is probably already common knowledge, but for those of you who might be new to Microsoft Flight Simulator and just happen to be watching this video, you ever notice that circle there where the rest of the world is kind of shaded out? That tells you at a glance what your range is. So no matter how much fuel you've got in there, that circle will grow bigger or smaller to tell you just how far you could fly on, quote unquote, one tank of gas. We, as you can see, are not going to be going too far. So this is Sicily in Italy. I figure Italian bird might as well start someplace Italian. So we're going to Palermo, and we're going to be taking off from Punta Raisi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Maybe it's Raisi. I don't know. I don't speak Italian. I'm sorry. But we're going to be taking off from this airport, and we are going to be traveling to the west. So once we take off there, I plan on going over the bay and then cutting over land a little bit so I can show you a little bit of the beautiful Italian island of Sicily. We might do some shenanigans over the hills. Hopefully, I'm still trying to get my footing with this bird. She definitely does have her quirks. That's all I will say about that. And once we're done here, we're going to cross over the waters. Now, you'll have to forgive me. I completely forget the name of this island. Again, I'll have it pop up right there. But we're not stopping off. We are actually just going to overfly the airport here on our way to the country of Tunisia. And we're going to be landing in Tunis. So right here, we're going to Africa. We're going to Africa. We're crossing the Med. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So there you go. Pretty straightforward flight. Should take us roughly about 41 minutes flying time, but just be advised, like I said, checklist is going to take longer. And I will explain all of that once we get past the break and into the bird. Alrighty, folks. No time to waste. Let's hop in the Master. All right, so welcome to Sicily, folks. This is Palermo, and of course the airport that we're looking at here is default. I have not gotten any additional scenery packages for this particular video, so when we get to Tunisia, that's also going to be default. But this is the reason why we are here, and take a look at this bird. Already you can tell that Dino has given it his usual love. The textures look really good. They're not perfect, mind you, but then I don't know too many things in Microsoft Flight Simulator that are perfect. But suffice to say, it is the usual standard of quality that we have come to expect from Dino. And that part, to me, is important because every time Dino comes out with a new bird, it is always one of those birds that I end up flying for like weeks and weeks and weeks after. Although doing these videos, yeah, I do kind of jump from aircraft to aircraft, primarily because there's just so much stuff coming out, and sometimes I get developers sending me stuff that needs either previewed or reviewed, so on and so forth. That is not the case with this bird. This one is already out, it's already available, and I did purchase it. Usually I do like to support Dino in that regard, and I will purchase his birds, and that's part of the reason why he's getting a full review video as opposed to a ChillVid preview video. Well, that plus the fact that it's already been released. But yeah, the aircraft pretty much speaks for itself. There's really not much more that I can say about it. I only have one brief complaint, and it doesn't even have anything to do with textures or anything like that. It has to do with the external cameras. Folks, you know me. If you watch my chill videos, you know the second thing that I do after I've walked around the aircraft is I will usually go to the static cam. So let's do that really quick here, and then we'll hop in the office. Okay, so The only complaint that I have with this bird is the fact that Dino kind of skimped on the static cameras. Normally, he at least puts like 4 or so in there. This only has 3. These are the 3. So you've got this view here, you've got this view here, and you've got this view here. Dino, where's my landing gear camera? Come on, man. You know I love the landing gear camera. Throw me a bone. It's not going to kill you to add a 4th external static camera there. I want to see the gear coming down and all that. You know how I am. I'm probably going to mess with a cameras.cfg file and add one in there. And then I'll send it off to Dino, and if he decides that he would like to include it in an update of the bird, then you'll all have it. But me, yeah, I really love that. I love looking from underneath the aircraft. It's just so cool. But in any event, we're going to keep it on this camera here, and we'll go ahead and hop into the cockpit now and get started with the checklist. All right, so welcome to the office, and we'll just take a quick look around here in VR so you can see everything that this thing comes with. Cockpit is well modeled, well detailed, as we come to expect from Dino and his friends. And as you can see, we got a lot of stuff that we can play with in here. However, since it is designed to be a trainer, it's not too overwhelming. Honestly, I think the checklist appears more overwhelming than the actual aircraft itself. And that is saying a lot because he did add a lot of stuff to the checklist. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get through all the pages. But there you go. Quick at a glance, you can see everything that this bird comes with. And apologies for my head shaking. I am talking, plus my head is pointing down. So, yeah, bad combination. But you've come to expect that because I do everything in VR. So, kind of happens. Kind of happens. All right. Speaking of checklist, it's a little daunting. So, we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at that and see what we can do with it. All right. So, here is our checklist button. Wait for that to pop open. Yay, there it goes. This is what I'm talking about, folks. And don't get me wrong, this is not a complaint. It's just, holy wow. For an aircraft that Dino says is not study level, that's a lot of pages. That is a lot of pages. All right, let's put this someplace where I can see it. I'm thinking right about here, perhaps. And we'll start at the top. Before exterior inspection, you can take a look at that. If you want to pause and just take a look at everything, that's fine. But I already know that all this stuff is already taken care of. Night operations, we don't need to worry about because, of course, you can see it is midday here in Sicily. Rear cockpit checks for solo flight. You can, if you wanted to, fly this from the rear seat. In VR, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to try and move from cockpit to cockpit because the controls for it to change your camera don't work nearly as well as I would like in VR. So you've got to manually move yourself there and set your height and all of that. And I'm not even going to bother with that. It's bad enough I may need to go in the back just to arm the ejection seat back there, because if I don't, this aircraft will complain at you. All right, cockpit interior checks. Check memory module, Okay, here's something we can actually do. Left and right battery switch on. So let's do that, shall we? Left and right battery switches are over here. If I push my little button on the bottom of my Virpil throttle, you can see everything becomes active. So we've got both battery switches on, both generators on. Backup instruments popping up. So the little backup ADI is right there. And you can see immediately the 3 MFDs have come to life. It's doing its little self-test, you know, the usual stuff that an aircraft like this would do. And should be ready in a second. All right, so we'll check that off. We'll check that off. On the right page, we need to be on a system page. Just FYI, this is the system page. So we're already where we need to be as far as that goes. So we'll leave that alone. Left and right, DCCU, caution, check not displayed. Yeah, I don't see that, so I'm not going to worry about that. We'll pass by the abort flight because everything checks out. We're good with this one. All right, left and right battery voltage, check above 23.2. Now that is important. If you notice your battery is below that, you will not be able to start this aircraft. You can see on our little status page here, we've got 28.3 for both batteries, which means we're good to go. All right, so we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Gens are already on. Left or central MFD, we want the FCS page. Since I've got the ADI, or as this aircraft calls it, the CADI, we're going to go ahead and use the center screen. So menu and FCS. That is it here. Now, you will also notice that the next thing it says, the FCS warning light, check to see if it's blinking. It already did. While I was talking, it was blinking. It's no longer blinking, so we're fine. Hud Power on, Hud SBS is off. I think by default the SBS is off, but here is a switch for the HUD and upfront controls. So there we go. Look at that. We got a nice little HUD there. I like that. I like that. Interesting point of note, there is a knob for an HMD or helmet mounted display. It doesn't work. We do not have one. I do not know if Dino plans on adding an HMD in there. I hear it's a lot of coding logistics. Wouldn't be too surprised if he decides no. All right, GPS 0, make sure that is set to normal. That is this funky looking square switch over here. And yes, it is set to normal. MCSG, I always forget what the MCSG is because, of course, the switch covers what it says. So that's in its correct position. INGPS, we'll go ahead and flip you to the on position, provided I can actually reach you. There you go. So what that does, that is your inertial navigation system, your INS, basically. So that will actually tell the plane where you are and make sure that all the systems coincide with where you are. Does it do anything in Microsoft Flight Simulator? No. Can you get away without doing it? Yes. But if you're following procedures, might as well help, huh? All right. Caddy page on the MFD select. So that means we can get off the FCS page and we can put it back to the caddy page. So there we go. And while I'm at it, I'm going to set my altimeter. Altimeter is in millibars, so you'll notice it says 1017, even though the ATC is going to give me in mercury, inches of mercury. Okay, EGI alignment. INGPS page is selected. Present position, check it's correct. I'm assuming that it is. I'm pretty sure the sim knows exactly where I am. So yeah, we're okay with that. GC alignment, select. Let's go with, can we go fast? No, let's just go GC. Okay, and look at what happens on the caddy here. It now says alignment and it's timing up. Now remember, none of this has any bearing on the aircraft itself. Like, you won't completely mess up your aircraft if you forget to align it. But for the purposes of, I guess, completion, you can do that if you decide to do that. Press nav when ready is displayed. So we've got to wait a few seconds for that to happen. So we'll go ahead and just tick that off and we'll move on to this. Seat safety pin. Okay, here is where I need to move around in the aircraft. So for the seat safety pin, and you'll forgive me, I got to physically move around here because I'm in VR. This is it right here at the bottom of the seat. If you try to click it, you won't do anything. So what you actually have to do is you first need to arm your seat and then click it. And you'll notice it puts it over there. Now here's a catch with that. I don't know if Dino has updated this as of yet, but I'm pretty sure if I go to the back seat, I will need to do the same thing in the back seat. Otherwise, the aircraft will yell at me. Let's do that right now. So we're just going to physically move ourselves back through the aircraft, which is kind of weird, but, you know, it is what it is. And you can see the arming switch is right there. So we need to do the same thing in the back. We need to go arm and then clicky. And you'll notice it's on this side. That's pretty much all you need to do in the back. Now, We still don't really have shared cockpit, but I imagine if we do get shared cockpit for something like this bird, that would be a cool feature for your backseater to tell you to arm your seat and they do their seat, we do ours. In the interim, since we don't have something like that, I would kind of like for Dino to make this process automated. If I take the pin out of this seat, we're going to assume that whoever's in the back seat, which in my case is always my AI co-pilot Kara, will have done the same thing. There you go. Little feedback for you. All right. I don't think there's anything else we need to worry about here because the rest of this stuff is more real life stuff unless you actually have a oxygen mask in your sim setup and an oxygen tank and so on and so forth, then you don't need to worry about connecting any of that stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and go off of that. All right, so this is to check the left side console stuff, and there's not much that we really need to worry about on this side. You can, of course, move your flaps and do your controls, wipeout, and so on and so forth. But again, it's not something that we're going to worry about right now. Same thing for the instrument panel checks. We want to make sure that, everything is showing what it should be showing. And I happen to know just at a cursory glance that everything is actually showing what it should be showing. So we're good. We're going to bypass this page. Right console, same story. Now the canopy switch should be forward, which means we would be closing the canopy. You will notice since we turned on the battery, all those little tags that we had and the covers over the inlets and the exhaust, they're all gone. Same thing with our ladder. So we're pretty much ready to be buttoned up right now. But yeah, you can see we've got all of that stuff there. All right, now we get to the real meat and potatoes here. Now we're going to start this sucker. Word of note, I have deliberately turned down the sounds in my Microsoft Flight Simulator, so what you're going to hear is not the actual sound volume of the aircraft. It will be attenuated somewhat so that you can hear my voice. With that having been said, the sounds on this thing are really freaking good. Don't know if that's how a real one sounds. All I know is whatever they did for the sounds, it does sound pretty dang good. All right, let's get our lights on here. So we want beacon on. That is on my Virpil. So there we go. And I always like to turn my nav lights on too. So there we go. Both of those are now on. So we're good to go there. HUD check symbology. HUD has symbology. So yeah, we're good with that. That's fine. DVD-R as required. Now, I don't remember what exactly the DVD-R is supposed to do. I don't think it is that, though. I'm going to turn it on anyway. Why not? Why not? Left and right battery, make sure they're over 23.2. I believe they are. And we're going to start the APU. Let me just check the battery again. Okay, we are losing charge. We're down to 27.6. So yeah, we may want to start this thing pretty soon. Okay, so let's get the APU started. APU is right here behind our parking brake lever. So we've got two switches. We've got the master start stop, and then we've got the start switch. So we want to hit the master start stop first. And we are waiting for everything to go on, which it is. The ready light should be on in 2 seconds. So we're going to want to press APU start, which is the right button. And you'll see it flashes run for a few seconds there. We'll wait till it has a steady run light to indicate that the APU is on and working. Perfect. We'll check the cautions. Yeah, we still have a master caution. We still have a whole bunch of things that we still need to turn on, but that is fine. And we'll go through that. Notice they always have you checking your batteries to make sure you're not draining the damn thing. Sheesh. All right. Before we start the engines, we're supposed to check the external stores configuration. I'm going to touch on that for a second here. So the stores management page, SMS page, should be a familiar acronym to those of you who also fly in DCS. You'll see it says mass safe. See that weird looking knob that has a white and red around it? If we click it once, we can put it into standby, which is what we want to do before we actually start the jet. And eventually, we're going to put it into auto after we have started. So we can check that off, that off. Configuration check. We know we have nothing on the wings, so we're good. Da, 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 da. There we go. Done. We can click accept, and we're good to go. All right. With this bird, we're going to start with the right engine. So I'm going to explain really quickly what we're going to do, and then we're going to go ahead and do it. So right-hand throttle needs to be in idle. Technically, mine already is. We're going to go right-hand mode switch the knob to idle start. And if there's APU available, well, we already know there is. When we get a green light on the start button, we're going to click it. It will then flash, and everything should come online. So let's see if that actually works. All right, so here's our right engine. And we are going to go idle start. We've got a green light, so we're going to click. Make sure the parking brake is on. Yes, it is. And that's basically it. So all we need to do now is just watch our gauges to make sure everything comes up normally, which it most certainly is. That's looking good. We still have enough battery power there, so we're looking good on that. Oh, you know what I forgot? This is important. You notice this? We might want some fuel to turn this engine on. There we go. Now we've got some exhaust gas temperature. Ooh, that was a close one. You know, while I'm thinking about it, maybe I should turn on the left fuel. My apologies, folks. I didn't see that in the checklist. I don't know if it was one of those pages that we skipped over, but yeah, you certainly do need to make sure your fuel is on before you can start your engines. That would be a very good idea. I'm just saying. All right, meanwhile, our INS is good, so we can hit nav, and boom, there we go. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and get our start switch to norm, which is where it will live for the time being. And we're going to do the same thing with the left engine. So, idle start, start, it's flashing, wait for everything to come up, and it should take a lot shorter time now that I've remembered to add fuel to the mixture. Yep, sure enough, everything is coming up. Now, normally at this point in time, Kara is already doing her thing, contacting them, asking for pushback, so on and so forth. We don't hear her yet because I still have the comms turned off. But if you look on my little caution and warning panel, you will see that is one of the things that we're probably going to need to turn on. So we're just waiting for everything to come up here. And I'm just going to go ahead and check all of these off. All right, that page is done. Before left engine start, make sure your mask and oxygen works. Canopy should be closed. We can go ahead and do that right now. Love it when the audio changes. Air conditioning, we're going to check the airflow, but first I am going to put this to norm, so both engines are on norm. If we had ground power, we would disconnect it at this point in time. We do not. So air conditioning or ECS system is on this side. Right now it's set to off, so I'm just going to switch it bleed to on. And that should be it. That's really everything we need to do there. All right, good deal. We still have some stuff that we need to work on. You can see it there in yellow and in blue. We will work on that more than likely on the page after. So let's just check all of this off because both engines are on. You see what I mean about this checklist taking a while, plus the fact that I'm trying to explain to you everything that I'm doing here. Yeah. All right, FCS iBite, I'm not even going to go into all of that. That is getting a little bit more technical, and again, it's one of those things that if you do not do it, it's not going to affect your aircraft. Not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. If you are a DCS user, that would probably be a bad thing, but since this is Microsoft Flight Simulator, don't worry about it, just go flying. All right, so we're just going to get rid of all of that. Aircraft mass page, we're going to go ahead and change that. So again, this little knob here, we're going to put it from standby to auto, and that also gets rid of the little blue warning that we've got there. Now the other things that we can turn on are nav ILS, TACAN, RADALT, as well as IFF, our transponder, and of course the comms. So we've got all of that on. However, we still have one item that is appearing on our caution and warning, and that is our oxygen. Here's the oxygen right down here next to our ejection seat. So we want to go, click. There we go. Now we've got oxygen. We're good to go. We are good to go. I'm going to check my barometer again. Okay, 1017 is what we're rocking. We're fine with that. Air crew, check and set. I'm sure Kara's okay. I would ask her, but she's probably not going to answer me. Flaps lever, we can put to takeoff. And then to land. And then back up to takeoff. Just to make sure that works. Yeah, looks good to me. We don't really need flaps on this runway though, because this is a very long runway. But we are going to do a quick controls wipeout. So let's go left, right on the stick, forward, back on the stick, and of course a bit of rudder. Now this is a very light plane. It's kind of similar to like the Goshawk or even an FSX Theme, which means you do not want to taxi fast. You will flip over. You've been warned. All right, air brake, full out, full in. Yeah, we can test that. Why not? Okay, there's our little icon for the air brake. It is currently full out. It's currently full in. You can see the little flaps icon indicates those are partially out. And of course, we've got 3 green on the gear. Takeoff trim, we will want to press. So that is this little button right here. Just press it, hold it down for a few seconds. Should be good. And you know what? I'm going to set the left side here first to FCS just to see what it says about our takeoff trim. If it says anything at all. Looks like we're fine. Looks like we're fine. All right, so with that having been said, I'm going to now switch it to the map. Look at that. That is a beautiful thing. That is a very beautiful thing. So you can see our route. We're going to head out to the west, and then we're going to head south. All right. And we'll just check off all of that stuff. I'm not going to set our bingo or our joker fuel levels because why? It's really not going to take us that long to get to Tunisia. And I don't plan on riding the throttles at full the entire time. Nose wheel steering should be active, so we should be good to go. And parking and emergency braking will take off momentarily. Alright, I'm just going to check these off, and then what we will do is we will actually get Kara on the case. So I'm going to close this out for now. Kara, my dear, I require your services once more, please. I need you to contact Raisi Ground and tell them that we wish to depart straight out.
Raisi Ground, Master 70, with Kilo request taxi for takeoff.
I'm going to adjust my seat.
Master 70 taxi to and hold short of runway 25 using taxiway Romeo Lima Tango Alpha. Contact tower on 119.05 when ready.
Okay.
Taxiing hold short runway 25 using taxiway Romeo Lima Tango Alpha Master 70.
All right, for once we actually do not have a pushback.
7 Tango, Charlie Papa Mike request taxi to parking.
Oh, that's that guy that just landed.
7 Tango, Charlie Papa Mike taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Bravo Lima Romeo.
Nice, nice. Okay, So we're going to get our parking brakes off. We don't need a pushback this time, but we will need to turn around and head that way.
Taxiing to General Aviation Park.
That way.
Taxiway Bravo Lima Romeo JMB Aviation Charlie Papa Mike.
Let me get our lights on. So I want taxi lights. Can I get you to taxi lights maybe? I think that's taxi. Is that taxi? Yeah, I think it is. All right. So I don't see any vehicles or aircraft, so we're going to go ahead and get the parking brakes off. And one thing you will notice is this thing does have a little bit of power to it. It's got 2 engines under there, and it's a relatively light bird. No. All right, fine. I got to check my brakes anyway. We'll go to the outside view.
Roger, Master 70.
Okay, now is a good time to go to the outside view, and I will see you all once we're at runway 25. Alrighty folks, welcome back. We are here at runway 25. So we're just going to park it here and have Kara do her thing.
Master 70 ready at runway 25 straight out departure.
Okay, while she's doing that, let me get our landing lights on.
Departing straight out approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 25.
Cleared for takeoff runway 25 Master 70.
Now these switches, to be honest with you, I have no idea if they have any bearing on anything else. So I'm not going to mess with them, but I do notice that it says no rad in the lower left corner of my HUD. So they might have something to do with it, but we're going to leave them alone. We're going to leave them alone. We're not going to mess with it. I'm sure if Dino is watching this, you'll probably chime in the comments as to what those switches do and whether or not you really do need to have them on or off. Personally, I think we'll be okay for this flight. So I'm just doing a final check here just to make sure everything's looking kosher. And it looks like it is. Once again, I'm going to check my barometer. And we are ready. Our autopilot should also be ready. So let's get the parking brakes off. And let's take the active. Give it a little bit of go-go juice. Look at that beautiful mountain there. Wow. It almost kind of reminds me of Gibraltar, except a hell of a lot more green. It's pretty cool though when you have like something that dramatic next to an airport. And I imagine probably frightening considering the fact that if you are off course in the middle of the night, that could be a bad landing for you. Very bad landing. Alright, I don't see any aircraft going out, and I didn't see any coming in, so I'm going to assume we are good to go. So I'm going to hand fly a little bit of this, and then I'm going to immediately turn on the autopilot to get us on course. Alright, so there we go. That is our course. I'm going to put the parking brakes on one more time while I adjust my heading bug. You'll see it circling to the right there. We'll set that for 243. All right. You know what it's time for, folks. Brakes down, throttles up. Brakes off. And here we go. This thing likes to jump like a rocket ship, so once we get over like 100 knots, we should be good. You can see she already wants to lift up. Look at that. She is airborne in a hurry. All right, let's go gear up. Let's go flaps up. Flaps are coming in. Now the flaps are kind of automatic. It's got that fly-by-wire effect there, so we don't really need to worry too much about the flaps doing its own thing. You can see right there the leading edge and the tailing edge. We've already pulled up the flaps on the tailing edge, but the leading edge is still doing its thing. And just like that, we're already at 300 knots. Are you kidding me? Wow. We say goodbye to Palermo. Looking good. And I'm going to get our autopilot on now. Oh, we should probably get some altitude going here. So I'm going to set us up to about 9,000 feet.
4 miles southwest of Punta Resi, 2,200 feet. Request flight following.
There we go. So it should automatically get us in a turn. You can see altitude select is on.
Squawk 1616 Master 70.
And there we go. We put it on the autopilot page. It tells us what we've got.
Southwest of Punta Resi, 2,900 feet. Altimeter tree 0.0 tree.
Very nice.
Roger, Master 70.
And look at that. We're just below the clouds. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. So we'll say goodbye to Punta Resi and Palermo itself. And we're going to cut across the island of Sicily and do some shenanigans. As is always the case, we will be in the outside view for that. But for now, let's take a look at our bird from the outside. Alright, so hope you enjoyed our little segue there. As you can see, we are just about at Angels 9 and we are on course. Now, I have noticed something new and different with Sim Update 11 regarding our GPS. For some strange reason, when you pick another leg, the line that you're supposed to follow seems to show from your origin airport as opposed to from your last waypoint. Not sure what's going on with that, but fairly certain it might be a bug. So, Asobo, you may want to take a look at your GPS to make sure that it's actually giving us the right route, because we should be right on the magenta line right now, and as you can see, well, in this case, the dashed white line is way off to the left at an angle. I know we're flying to the correct waypoint, it's just a little odd what it's showing us there. All right, regarding our waypoint, let me see if I can put that on here. I think it is SP. It might be SP. Let's check. There we go. There we go. Okay, so there's our list of waypoints right there. It tells you the name of the waypoint, the distance, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. So if you don't want to look at your engine, you can certainly look at your waypoint. And that's pretty cool. I love that. Absolutely love that. I love the fact that Dino has put extra screens in there because information is key with any aircraft, and especially these more modern aircraft. They try to throw as much information at you as possible. So it is extremely important that you get everything that you need to see at a glance. And Dino has certainly delivered when it comes to that. I have very few complaints about IndiaFoxtEcho aircraft because he usually thinks about the small details like this, especially on these Italian birds, since, of course, he and his company are Italian. I wouldn't expect anything less from Dino. Still waiting for that Tomcat, though, Dino. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, let's see where we're headed now. We are still at waypoint 3. Okay, did we pass the waypoint? No, the waypoint is still right there, so I'm not quite sure what exactly this thing is doing. But that does bring me to a good point. I do want to do a little bit of shenanigans. So you see that lake there and that little mountain? Yeah. You know what it's time for, folks. Autopilot off. It's our bird. I'll just check. Thank you, Betty. Thank you for the heads up. I really appreciate it there. And we're going to give her a little bit of power here. Now, as far as speed goes, this thing can go up to like Mach 0.9, 0.9. If you're good and, light enough, you can occasionally take it over Mach 1, but it is not designed to fly past Mach 1.2. And be careful when you pull in G's as well. You really don't want to pull any more than like about 5 G's. But we'll quickly go back to the outside view, and I will attempt to do some shenanigans and try not to kill us. All right, let's see where we're at now. We just passed PVUP, so we are on to Senti, the next waypoint. So this means we're going to need to make a right here. And as you can see, she is pretty nimble. She is pretty maneuverable. I enjoy that in an aircraft. The only thing I'm a little bit leery of would be trying to do loops and stuff like that. Something tells me that I'm going to need a little bit more power than these engines might be able to provide. I mean, we could try it, but again, I'm a little bit leery about that, so maybe we don't want to try it. All right, are we still at 9,000? No, we are at 10,000 right now. You know what? 10,000 is fine. I'm okay with that. All right, let's put it back on autopilot, and we'll see what it does. And we're going to set ourselves up at 10,000 feet. I'm wondering if because I have the SP page on, if it's messing with me a little bit here. It might very well be, because it looks like it wants to steer us to the previous waypoint that we were at, which is, of course, not what I'm looking for. All right, altitude select on. We're at 9,900, and let's go heading hold. There we go. So that should level us out. And we'll go ahead and zoom this map out. So you'll see we're at about 10 miles radius, 10 nautical miles. So we're just going to pop that up a little here so we have an idea as to where Senti is. And then I can manually just move our heading over until we intercept it. All right, there we go. Now, as far as this MFD, we'll go ahead and change that. Systems is what we had it on before. There we go, systems. We can probably pull the power back a little bit here because I did have the power up for our shenanigans. So we're going to bring the NH down to about 80 on both engines. There we go. 79. Yeah, it's good enough. How are we doing on fuel? Because I really haven't checked the fuel. So we've got 11 on fuel flow. I'm assuming that's either kilograms or gallons. Not 100% certain. I'll need to check the manual for that. Like everything, make sure you read the manual. But it does say we've got 1591 kilograms on board. So I guess that would mean kilograms per minute is 11. And aircraft, what are you doing? I need you to go to Senti, okay? Can you go to Senti? That would be great. I will love you forever if you take us to our actual waypoint. There we go. Yeah. Not quite sure what's up with that, but whatevs. All right, so from Senti, we are going to head to that little island, which I'm so sorry that I forgot the name of the island. I should have done my homework before I actually started recording. But, you know, these things do tend to happen from time to time. Never said I was the best pilot. I just love my shenanigans. All right, but we are heading in the proper direction now. So I am going to once again go back to the outside view. I'm going to give us a little bit more power. We'll put it back up to about, what is that, 77%. So there we go. We should be burning through gas a little bit, but everything is pretty much normal, and we're traveling in a straight line, so I'm not too worried about that. And we'll go back to the outside and listen to some cool jazz music. Incidentally, the music that you hear on these full production episodes, that's all from Microsoft FSX. That's all the old music from FSX that most of us never even listened to. But it came with the sim. Okay, so here we are. We are slightly off course, so I'm just going to hit our heading bug a little to the right. Just kind of line us up here, make sure that we fly over Lima, India, Charlie Golf. And it looks like my chosen cruise altitude is right on the border. Hence the reason why ATC and Cara keep going back and forth here.
Master 70 Pantelleria, approach altimeter 30.06. Continue to Papa Alpha November as planned.
30.06 translates to 1018. Wait, why did this just suddenly bug out to that side? That's interesting. I think that's a controls issue. I don't think that is a aircraft issue. But there we go. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful.
119.35 for Master 70. Pantelleria approach Master 7010,000 feet.
Alright, let me see what we are currently set to for autopilot. Let's go HNAV, see what it says, or see what it does. It should be guiding us to the next waypoint, but we'll see if it actually... See, there it goes again. There it goes again. Alright, let's put it back to heading.
131.1 Master 70. Rome Center Master 7010,000 feet.
Master 70 Rome Center altimeter 30.06. Continue to Dighton as planned.
Okay, so Dighton is where we are headed, which is perfectly fine by me. So right about there should be good as long as we've got our heading hold on, and you can begin to see Tunisia. This guy, however, is bothering me, so I am going to drop our altitude a bit here.
119.35 Master 70. Pantelleria approach Master 7010,000 feet.
Yeah, we'll say goodbye to him in a moment once we get past the dividing line between the air traffic control. That's an annoying thing that has been there since like FS9, FSX, that unfortunately this sim still has not been able to solve. They just bounce you back and forth. Now I could always just change channel, but that'll turn Cara off totally. And our destination is literally up ahead. We're going to need to swing a little bit to the right. But it's pretty close to where we're heading right now. Oh, good grief. It's still doing it. Alright, you know what? I'm going to drop down to about 8,000 feet.
125.15 for Master 70. Tunis Maghreb Center, Master 70, 8,900 feet.
But as you can see, Africa is up ahead. Europe is behind. Can't even see Sicily from here. Wow. That's one thing I will say about the sim. I love the fact that it replicates the visibility perfectly. This is pretty much what it would look like in real life. Pretty much. I'm still trying to get X-Plane 12 to play nicely enough for me to do a VR first look for you. But we're up to update 7 now, and I'm still having some issues. And actually, I think I may just need to reinstall it on a different drive, which I'm not looking forward to because I will need to redo all of my bindings for the Verpal. Yeah, that's a lot of bindings, folks. Alright, but there you go. There's your X-Plane update in the middle of a Microsoft Flight Simulator video. Either way, you can see our flight plan. Once we make the turn here, we should be pretty much doing a straight route to get into the airport. So at which point in time we'll bring ourselves down probably to about 2,000 feet, unless of course there are mountains in our way. Not 100% certain on that. But I do know for the time being we will go back to the outside view really quick as we make our way to Dighton. Alright, so we're just about to pass Diden, so I am going to swing our heading bug to the right. And we'll just kind of point towards the airport, which is Delta Tango Tango Alpha. So Zelfa is what we're looking for. Now, we do have some mountains here in Tunisia, so I'm thinking we're probably going to delay coming down just a little bit here. Either way, I'm going to bring us down to about 2,000 feet, so we'll see if we can start doing that now.
Airbus Charlie Delta Foxtrot, you are 29er miles north. Climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Expect VOR DME runway 29er approach via Marsa transition. Clear to Marsa.
Alright, there we go. So heading hold seems to be doing the trick. Nav hold right now is acting up. Be honest with you folks, I am not 100% certain if that is an aircraft issue or a Microsoft Asobo issue. I'm inclined to think it may be a Microsoft Asobo issue because I do recall seeing the funky lines on the GPS in other aircraft, so I'm thinking this might be an Asobo thing. I'm not going to hold it against Dino and IndiaFoxtEcho on this bird. Alright, but we are getting ready to come in, and so far, everything is looking pretty good. Kara, I am going to have you switch channels and contact the tower instead of waiting till we get like 5 miles out and then calling for clearance to land. So, Carthage, DTTA.
Carthage Tower Master 70 is 26 miles east, 5,400 feet, with Oscar to land.
Master 70 Carthage Tower. Altimeter tree 0.04 wind tree 57 and 11. Fly straight in runway 29er.
Alright.
Make straight in runway 29er Master 70.
Okay, so at this point I'm going to drop us down to about 1,800 feet. And we're also going to pull the power back. So as you can see, as soon as we get past this bay here, that's pretty much going to be our call to land. So let's zoom this in a little bit more just to make sure I'm properly lined up. I'm going to try and hit this waypoint and then we'll manually fly her in. But look at that. That is pretty beautiful. It's not that often that I get to fly on the African continent, and I'm still kind of sort of waiting for Asobo to give some world update love to this entire continent. But what I'm looking at right now is really not that bad. Really not that bad. Kind of reminds me a little bit of California, Southern California. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's not perfect, but yeah, it's okay. I can deal with it. We'll put it that way. Alright, so other than that, I don't know what to say about this bird. I really, really enjoy it. It's obviously going to take me a little while to really get the hang of the systems and everything like that. But the fact that Dino has put so much into this bird and still it is not considered quote-unquote study level, because I know some people don't like that term. I'm one of those people. But suffice to say, the way that he has put this bird together is absolutely incredible. It feels like it should be an in-depth bird, even though technically it's not considered one. I'm okay with this. I am very much okay with this.
Master 701007 and 11. Clear to land runway 29er.
Clear to land runway 29er Master 70.
Alright, that is my cue, so we'll go to the AP page, we'll turn off the heading, and alt. Actually, you know what? We'll just hit the button that I have, and that'll turn everything off. There we go. Let's get our speed brakes out, because we are way fast. Way, way, way fast. And speed brakes are out. What's our speed? Well over 250. Wow, we might have to do a run and brake here. Not to worry. I think I can handle this. Okay, gear light is on, so gear down. And let's also get the flaps down.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Landing gear is coming out. What are you complaining about there, Betty? Let's get our speed brakes in. Flaps full. Let's get some more power. We don't want to crash. Quick look outside just to make sure we're kosher. Okay, everything is looking good, but obviously we've got a little bit of a crosswind going here. You can see my flight path marker is putting us basically to the right of the runway. So I'm having a little bit of issues lining us up here, but I'm getting ready on the rudders to do the rudder tango here. It's going to drop a little bit more power. You can go down to roughly about 91 knots thereabouts before this thing starts falling out the sky. It's a light bird. It is a very light bird. But here we go, runway 29, looking good.
Pull up. Pull up.
I hope our gear's down. I think it is. If I had a landing gear view, I could probably tell, Dino. Woo, boy! Okay, that was a little rough. They are not kidding with that crosswind. I've got the speed brakes out now. So that will help us a little bit, but you can see we are still wanting to flip over here. Alright, here we go, here we go. Okay, now I can start using our braking. I'm still on the rudder, by the way, trying to keep this thing center line. Oh boy.
Master 70 exit runway when able.
Not one of my best landings, but then I didn't anticipate us having such a severe crosswind coming up. But we're down. We're safe. Is that all I ever asked for? Absolutely. Alright, flaps up. Speed brake up.
Master 70 contact ground on 121 decimal niner.
And there you have it.
1 decimal niner for Master 70.
So welcome to Tunisia, folks. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed our little flight with Dino Cattaneo's M-346. Oh, that's a first. She never does that.
General aviation parking via taxiway Alpha cross runway 01 Alpha cross runway 29er Alpha Delta.
Oh, we ain't doing all that. We are not doing all of that.
General aviation parking via taxiway Alpha cross runway 01 Alpha cross runway 29er Alpha Delta Master 70.
Yeah, you tell them what you feel you need to tell them, Kara, but me, I'm just going to find us a nice parking spot and pull up. And then we can call this video done. So just to remind you, we have been showcasing the latest aircraft from IndiaFoxtEcho. This is the Leonardo M-346 Master. It is a whopper of a bird. Even though it is technically considered a training and light attack aircraft, it is completely a marvel of design, and honestly, I am really, really glad that Dino brought it to this sim. It feels so good, especially in VR. Issues aside with Asobo and the GPS and whatever the heck is going on there, I gotta give this bird top marks. And you know me, whenever I do these review videos, I don't rate, I don't assign a number. Most I'll ever give something is like maybe 2 thumbs up. This one easily gets a 2 thumbs up for me. If you're interested in a light bird, a fighter jet type bird, a training type bird, this is definitely one that I think you should take a look at. It just hits all the right buttons. And again, I can't wait till we actually have like a full shared cockpit capability, because this would be one of those birds that it would be awesome to take your friend with you, especially if your friend also has VR. What I'm thinking right about here is going to be a good parking spot for us, so we are going to roll up. My throttle is still idle and we're still booking. Wow. Alright, right about here is good, so we'll go ahead and put the parking brakes on. And that should be about it. So we can start turning stuff off. I'm going to leave the comms on for obvious reasons, because the comms, if I turn that off, Microsoft Flight Simulator does have that nasty habit of doing the thing.
IFF.
Okay, Betty. Okay, you calm yourself down, okay? Okay. We'll go ahead and turn this stuff off. So that's left engine off. And we'll go right engine off. And it still did the thing. That's the thing I'm talking about. Asobo, fix that. It's been several updates now. You claimed you fixed it. It only works in the 2D screen. Doesn't work for us VR users. Come on, man. Come on. I hate having to yell at you in every dang video. Fix your stuff, man. Fix your stuff. That's all I will say about that. Alrighty, folks. Thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Once again, to remind you, the aircraft that we have been showcasing has been by IndiaFoxtEcho. This is the Leonardo M-346. Absolutely amazing bird. The link will be in the video description below. And in fact, I'll actually have multiple links in there because it is available in multiple places. I got mine through Orbx. Honestly, Orbx is one of the easiest places to get it from, aside from the MSFS marketplace. But bear in mind, if you get it from the marketplace, you will not get any weapons. Not that this thing really has much in the way of weapons anyway. But keep that in mind, please. Alrighty, folks, if you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and we will be back sometime in the near future with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator goodness. Okay, folks, from beautiful Tunisia in Africa, I wish you all an excellent evening. Ciao!